Oh boy, it's a second Curiosities video about piracy. I guess I better do a disclaimer like I did with the wallpaper engine video, which you should go check out by the way. Just like last time, I make these videos for primarily entertainment and educational purposes first. I'm not responsible for how you choose to use the information in this video. Don't shoot the messenger, and please don't sue me. I'm just trying to make a silly video here. Alright, we good? Cool. Editor, can you start the video? Wow, all alone on a Friday night? God, me too. Let's talk about piracy again! Yay! There are a lot of videos online that tackle the history of internet piracy services and how they've evolved over the years, and those videos are pretty great in their own right. But you know what I usually don't see? The life after death of these services. Some videos online will cover a service like Napster, for instance, and then stop its coverage once the timeline reaches the court-ordered shutdown. In actuality, many of these piracy services live on, even if only in name and brand, and that's what I'd like to primarily cover today. We'll be looking at Napster, Kazaa, and Limewire's life, death, and most importantly, post-death life. Trust me, the phrase peaked in high school does not begin to describe some of these stories. I'm just going to tell you right now, one of those names owns Fire Festival, one was owned by Best Buy, and one tried to get out of legal trouble by literally splitting itself across 2 different countries to escape one government before getting sued immediately by a 3rd country's government. So sit back, relax, and allow me to hyperfix about how absolutely scuffed early day piracy was. The one that truly started it all. Napster is the piracy software that opened up Pandora's loot box, pulled out a mythical, and let music piracy become mainstream for the first time, literally, like, ever. All of a sudden, anyone with a computer could have any song they want at 40% of the quality for free in just a couple minutes. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Losing your entire hard drive? Naturally, many record labels were not thrilled with this innovation. Within less than a year, Napster had already caused controversy once a Metallica song leaked onto Napster way before its official release. This resulted in the first lawsuit of many. And turns out, Metallica's legal team is actually shared with quite a lot of artists, because immediately afterwards, Dr. Dre hopped in, and Madonna did too. All of them sharing the same legal counsel, so he may as well sue the big blue monster, right? Before they knew it, Napster had a court-ordered shutdown looming over its head as if it were the sword of Damocles. In a move that seems oddly modern, they proposed a plan to magically make everything better. Let's introduce a subscription service! I mean, if we charge people to use Napster and then feed the profits to the big bad boogeyman we'll see time and time again, known as RIA, also known as the Recording Industry Association of America, then we'll be fine! Right? No, obviously it didn't work. Come on, look at the video you're watching. After a last-ditch attempt to try to appeal the cases, the shutdown took effect. By July 2001, Napster as a service was gone, and by 2002, they were bankrupt and were forced to be liquidated and sold off to a private company. To me, at least, this is where the story starts getting really interesting. For many videos covering the early days of piracy, this is where Napster becomes completely irrelevant and moot in the discussion. But Napster as a name and brand has had a long life since its shutdown, and even in 2026, the name and iconography are still being used. Like the blunt at any trans-femme meetup, Napster got passed around quite a lot from company to company, being the namesake and logo for various projects in tech over the years. First, it was bought by a company called Roxio, who rebranded their already existing music streaming service into, I cannot believe I'm saying this, Napster 2.0. That's really what they called it. I can't think of a stupider name for a joke here. N 2.0 lived a pretty uneventful life within modest profit margins before its next buyer came along. Best Buy, for some reason. Sure! Well, seeing how Best Buy ended up today, it would only make sense that eventually there'd be another buyer after Best Buy. Napster's next owner would be a company called Rhapsody, effectively the last competitor in the space taken up by iTunes. Not a music streaming service in the modern sense, but more so a download site for MP3s that you pay monthly for. And at the time, in the US at least, Rhapsody was the biggest one. But looming over the horizon, the modern day begins to loom its head. Even as far back as 2011, we began to hear the murmurings of Balrog, shit, I meant Spotify. Slip of the tongue. The writing was very much on the wall for Rhapsody at this point. Spotify was here, and nothing else in that space could really compete. By 2020, Napster was just in sort of limbo. They were basically a Spotify premium clone by this point, just barely scraping by. And since you definitely knew the name Napster as a competitor to Spotify, I'm sure that it worked out quite well for them. At least in the EU, they got a Wii U app. That's kind of cool, right? And I mean, hey, they do have a merch store. I would have bought merchandise and worn it for the meme, but I didn't, and I'm going to leave you in suspense as to why. In August, the next buyer for Napster stepped up, a virtual reality concert company called Melody VR. Obviously. In 2020, it was acquired by a venture capital union because of fucking course it was, it's capitalism, what do you expect? And in 2025, it was bought by its current owners, a company called Infinite Reality. Infinite Reality is a company focusing on generative AI, so don't be surprised if within the next 3 years, Napster gets another owner. For now though, Infinite Reality has plans, and it's not being sold off again to a new owner. Something even worse. January 1st, 2026. Jimmy, the loyal Napster enthusiast, wakes up, slams his Green Day alarm clock, yawns and smiles as he looks to his phone, ready to launch the Napster app. He's been listening to Napster on any service imaginable, all throughout the years, ever since the 2000s. Just can't let the little imp go. He launches the Napster app, and sees the single most horrifying thing anyone could ever read. A service announcement titled, "Where are my playlists?" It reads,
Napster is no longer a music streaming service. We've become an AI platform for creating and experiencing music in new ways. That means the streaming catalog and playlists from the old app won't work here.
Jimmy smashes his phone to the floor and cries. The slot-powered misery machine has claimed another victim. That's why I didn't buy Napster merch, by the way. Fuck Gen AI slaw. Napster was the thing that brought music piracy to the masses. Napster was the driving force for one of the biggest foundations of media to adapt to the times and new competition. Napster was a symbol of change in the modern technological age, with a rebellious and legally dubious attitude to boot. As of 2026, unfortunately, it is no longer that. And from the wording of this announcement, it looks to be an entirely generative AI music platform. This remains to be seen as the year is almost half over and there has been absolutely no updates. But ironically enough, I think it'd be better if that's the last we heard of Napster. Napster is dead, but it lived an incredibly strange life lasting so much longer than you initially thought. Rest in peace. If there's any service in this video that you're most likely to be unaware of, it's Kazaa. Unlike Napster, Kazaa wasn't just meant for music, but now movies as well. Kazaa, like the other three software covered today, is a P2P client, or peer-to-peer. They can technically share any file, not just MP3s, and it's effectively the parent of modern-day torrenting networks, meaning their history of lawsuits is even larger than Napster's. The Dutch were the first to strike. With the first legal battle Kazaa faced, they seemingly dodged the law by doing and just selling itself to another company in another country, Charmin Networks. Fun fact, the original developers were umbrellaed under a company named, I shit you not, Consumer Empowerment. This is really funny. By selling itself to Charmin Networks, Kazaa was now HQ'd in Australia, incorporated in Vanuatu, and immune to the Dutch courts. And as a double whammy, a year later, the Dutch courts would actually reverse their decision and decree that Kazaa is not responsible for making sure the content its users share isn't copyrighted. Wonder how well that holds up today. Around the time that the original ruling was reversed, Kazaa was getting a leg up on future legal battles by, and in oddly familiar too, converting itself to a paid subscription service and making itself as legal as possible. Before long, they were still a piracy platform, but now whenever you searched for a song, you'd get a 30-second snippet of it before being redirected to an invasive monthly subscription service to get the rest. What was that old Gabe Newell quote about how piracy is a problem of service and not of price? I forgot. Regardless, surely this meant no more legal troubles. Right? Kazaa's new parent company was immediately sued. By not just RIA, but by several movie studios as well. which is not the surprise reveal for Smash Bros. That I expected personally. How this Australia/Vanuatu-based company was sued in Los Angeles is anyone's guess really. But what's not surprising is that Australia was indeed next. ARIA, which is basically Australia's equivalent to America's RIA, was the next to sue Kazaa. This time, doing a apparently Australian exclusive power move of giving Kazaa a 2-month deadline to become modified to be legal, or else. Kazaa just didn't? Again? So naturally, they got sued again and got the software geo-blocked in Australia. So, I know there's a lot of things going on, so let's just recap real quick. In Australia, Kazaa is now geo-blocked and sued by ARIA. In America, Kazaa is being sued by RIA and various other movie studios. And all while this is happening, RIA is pulling out its signature move of suing individual users of Kazaa for copyright infringement. This would result in a Midwestern, middle-aged single mother getting sued for a potential ceiling of almost $2 million fucking dollars. I can't make this shit up if I tried. That number was decided by the jury, by the way, not the faces of corporate greed known as RIA's lawyers, the jury of peers. The judge had to say that this was, quote, monstrous and shocking. With 2 countries on its heels, and knowledge that just like with Napster, RIA was willing to literally ruin individual people's lives with petty lawsuits, all Kazaa needed was one little push to finally come crumbling down. And that push would come with the final end to the legal battles, Kazaa dropping a $100 million settlement to RIA. And even that wasn't enough to dissuade the RIA snipers trained on Kazaa users. It took until 2008 for RIA to realize that maybe, just maybe, suing college students for $750 for the crime of downloading a 64 kilobytes per second MP3 file of feel-good ink that's mislabeled, missing cover art, 30% likely to be a virus and starts 20 seconds in, doesn't exactly give them a good public image. And they finally called off the snipers. With the settlement somehow paid, Kazaa was barely afloat after this. They tried to go the Napster 2.0 route of a corporate buyout and merger to become a legal streaming service, but somehow it was even less successful than Napster 2.0. Like, remember that before clicking on this video, you probably hadn't even heard of Napster 2.0 to begin with. So by that metric, Kazaa was even less successful. By 2012, the licenses needed to run a music streaming service expired, and the company finally went kaput. And unlike Napster, Kazaa didn't have the recognizability and ripple in history to warrant its assets being valuable and sold off. It just crumbled into dust, like some sort of castle or something. Wow, 2 Giz references in one video. I'm on a roll. Good job, me. There's a debate to be had here. If out of all the 3 services we'll be talking about today, Kazaa got off the lightest with just being buried as a footnote in history, and not having its corpse dug up by Web 3.0 AI Ray-run tech bros trying to make a quick buck. For now, though, let's round out our group of 3 with the software that probably has the most DNA with modern-day piracy. It's time to talk about Limewire. To do something fun and unique for this Ko-Fi ad, I didn't write it in the script at all. I'm going to completely ad-lib this. I'm going to fuck this up, aren't I? Hi, friend. Are you enjoying the video so far? If so, I've got a fantastic opportunity for you. I would like you to become a member of the Ducky D Unemployment Fund. It's my official Ko-Fi page, and for just $3 a month, you get like way too many perks to list all of them off the top of my head. Like, there's some things you can expect, you know, like the typical early, uncensored, and uncompressed video access, like sneak peeks, special Discord channels, all that type of stuff. And there's also, like, the cool stuff that I like to do that I don't see anyone else doing, like the secret development live streams and chances to appear as cameos in future videos, like with the wallpaper engine video. All of that for just $3 a month. And you can pay more if you want your name in the credits like these people did. Good for them. If you're enjoying the video, please, make motherfuck. Even if you can't join the Ko-Fi, just subscribing or telling a friend this video and suggesting and sharing it around helps my growth so much. I've got a long way to go before YouTube will be viable as like a full-on part-time or full-time job, and I've still got plenty of videos that I need to make. So if you're really enjoying the things that I make, please consider pitching in just a little bit to make sure that I can keep making these silly videos. To do something fun for these Ko-Fi segments, I like to include a little fun fact or extra thing about me that most people that use sponsor block will just auto-skip over, but the real ones that actually stay for these ads will get to know. Last time I revealed that I have over 30 ideas for videos that I'm at least partially confident on, so here's the next thing that I'm going to show off. I have not shown this in a video yet. I'm probably not going to show it off for a very long time, but this thing is $666 and I'm going to talk about it one day. Trust me, you're going to want to be subscribed for when this fucker drops. Anyways, that's the end of my little ad-libbed Ko-Fi ad. Thanks for watching all the way through, and back to the rest of the video. Woo! What is the bona fide predecessor to modern-day piracy? Limewire, of course. Unlike Napster, which was meant for music, and Kazaa, which was meant for just general media, Limewire is essentially just a full-on torrenting client, even communicating with the same BitTorrent protocol that services like QBitTorrent and Transmission use today. It wasn't restricted to only specific files. You could literally share any file through it. It's such a milestone for not just piracy, but file sharing in the internet as a whole. But no first step is perfect. Let's begin our journey into how scuffed Limewire is with a thought. Limewire is an LLC, a full-on corporation, and they need to make money somehow. So how do you actually make money off of a product that allows people to download copyrighted material for free? Two ways. One visible and one invisible. Face. Nice. Got one King Gives reference somewhere for each section of the video. Good job, me. I can sleep easily now. The main reason that Limewire was claiming to be profitable was that it had a business model? They offered a pro version of Limewire paid every 6 or 12 months. If you like the software, you buy pro and get, quote, faster downloads and 66% search results. What that actually did is increase the per file concurrent connections cap, try saying that like 3 times fast, from 8 to 10. So like, I guess they weren't lying. In the best case scenario, it does do what it advertises. You know what they didn't advertise though? That you could just download Limewire Pro with Limewire Free. You know, the first fucking thing you'd think of in this situation? Despite this very obvious flaw in their plan, they still advertised having a business model. And eventually they did add server authentication fees. You can't just, pirate the upgraded piracy software with the old piracy software. But like, come on, I'm not a businesswoman at all, but that's still not a good idea for a business model, just at all. And that's why they had a plan B, a secret second option to make money. And it's one that in 2026, we've actually seen done again. Did you know that since its inception and until April 2004, Limewire straight up had spyware bundled into it? It was called Lime Shop. It was a variant of legitimate spyware, and its job was to forward online sales commissions to Limewire instead of where they were supposed to. This is literally just honey. In case you were wondering, yes, this is exactly what honey does, what they were exposed for, and why you should absolutely fucking remove it if you still have it installed. The more that things change, the more that they stay the same, I suppose. Eventually they were caught, and from then on, Limewire didn't come with any bundled spyware. Makes you wish uTorrent learned this specific lesson. Except in 2010, Limewire added bundled software again, so maybe uTorrent was actually closer to the mark than I originally thought. In 2010, Limewire added an Ask-powered toolbar as bundleware, but this was just a smokescreen for the real meat of the software update, a curious little file called simpp.xml. This file is a backdoor. It basically acted as a remotely controlled config file so that Limewire could implement and kill switch into its software. This is, in no hyperbolic terms, malware. This is just like morally and ethically wrong to fucking do. It had an IP ban list of computers that seemingly were sharing illegal content so that clients couldn't connect to them. It could enable and disable specific parts of the UI, most notably making the software crash itself so that once the court-ordered shutdown took effect, no one could actually use modern versions of the software. Unless you just download an older version from before the file that doesn't have compatibility, and then you're fine. Didn't think that one through either, boys, did ya? And the most noteworthy part of all, this magical file was readable with specific technology. It basically was the secret map that showed what computers had connected together in this giant swarm of a peer-to-peer network. If this topic interests you, I read a fantastic article about a cybersecurity company that basically used these maps to try to pressure corporations to sign up for their services, called Versa. I'll link it below in the description. It is a phenomenal read, and I wish I could adapt it into a video myself. But this article very much does the story justice, and you should definitely check it out. Alright, let's get back on track now, lol. So now that we know they were at least trying to make money, let's see where all that revenue is going. Legal problems! Limewire was only slapped with 2 lawsuits compared to its contemporaries, so this should just be a slam dunk. Just in and out 20-minute adventure. The first lawsuit was in 2010, when the judge ruled that, to the surprise Pikachu face of literally everybody, Limewire and its creator Mark Gordon had committed copyright infringement. Wow, truly, the United States legal system does it again. Limewire just mumbled under its breath, okay, we'll stop spreading peer-to-peer software, definitely, probably. And then they just started, shuffling towards the door. And thankfully, they only had one more lawsuit to deal with, and that one shouldn't be too bad, right? Oh, it's RIA again. In 2011, Limewire got sued for the second time by RIA for just a quick little slap of the wrist again for... Wait, what the fuck? Okay, in my script it says that RIA sued Limewire for $72 trillion, which is like double the United States total debt in 2026? There's no way that that's right. Oh my god, that's right. RIA had learned from its mistakes in the past with all the foreplay and the sniper strain on college students, and they just wanted to have one little lawsuit to just nip it all in the bud, with an asking price of more than 3 times the world's gross domestic product at the time. Quite literally, there was not enough money in the world to pay this settlement. Eventually, a settlement of $105 million was reached, approximately 0.145% of RIA's asking price. RIA called this a #1 victory royale and promptly fucked off. So, with no actual piracy software being distributed anymore, what now? You'd think that Limewire would just go the same way as something like Kazaa, where it just sort of faded into irrelevancy the second chance it got. However, Limewire pulled off the incredible stunt of existing for Web 1.0, dying for Web 2.0, and then resurrected in name for Web 3.0. I'm not kidding. Let's talk about the Zehedmeyer brothers, and god, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. These brothers are so mysterious, they don't even have a Wikipedia page, but these fellas now own Limewire, and they're gonna go on a shopping spree. In 2022, Limewire was bought out and turned into a service for music-centric NFTs. Absolutely nobody liked this, and even Mark Gordon himself expressed disappointment. These guys literally had a to-do list of every single awful tech trend we've seen in the 2020s. First was music-centric NFTs, and then in 2023, a generative AI service was put under its wing, and Limewire offered AI-powered file manipulation. Once again, nobody fucking liked that. Next up on the shopping list, an actually relevant purchase in 2025, 2 services for quickly sharing files over a local network, snapdrop.net and sharedrop.io. I'm mentioning them now, and I will never mention them again because literally have you ever heard of anything I've said in this video until now? Alright, we've got the Tech Bro Web 3.0 trends, we have one purchase that's somewhat relevant. Where do we go from here? The Zehedmeyers put their heads together to try to think of the stupidest thing they could buy for publicity's sake. When Julian's phone buzzes. It's an eBay notification. He looks to his brother and back to his phone. Paul replies,
Done, Pete.
Anyways, as of September 2025, Limewire now owns the IP rights to Fire Festival. Do you see why I don't feel real all the time? Billy McFarland really did just put up a fucking eBay listing for the IP rights to the most infamous venue failure of my entire generation. And these silly and Austrian boys just bought it right up, from being associated with one criminal to another. How fun. The final purchase as of date is a cloud-based instant file sharing service, which, of all of these really stupid ventures, is probably the only one that actually makes sense given Limewire's historical impact. So, what are we left with? If you go to their website today, there's 3 main things. There's a crypto exchange, there's AI file manipulation tools, and there's temporary file link sharing. And that's really it. Besides the branding, there's no connection to its roots at pioneering modern piracy and file sharing, besides maybe the cloud link sharing, I guess. Jack of many trades, master of none. I guess you could make the argument that using cloud service is sort of doing what it did in 2000, just with modern tech being a service to share files. Only now it's AI powered, in the same way every other file service magically is after 2021. Man, this video was supposed to be about making fun of people buying the rights to piracy IPs, but now that 2 out of 3 of them have become AI slop, it's just left a really bad taste in my mouth. Can we talk about that?
So what was the original point of this video? Well, the original idea for this video was just to show how, like, the names and IPs of piracy services are still valued and passed around by corporations until they become the very things they set out to destroy. But the more research that I did into the whole topic, the more that Web 3.0 began to seep its disgusting AI-generated hands with missing fingers in my research. So, was that it? To just complain that tech bros keep digging up old IPs and zombifying the husks to spew out generative AI nonsense? I mean, kind of. Generative AI just fucking sucks. It does. As someone with a legitimate computer science degree, because I love researching machine learning algorithms, it completely killed my drive to pursue a career in the field. I mean, why spend time job hunting and getting a corporate job when it's in an industry that not only is horrendous towards queer people, but will probably burst by the end of the decade anyways? Also, let's be honest, given my personality, I'd make a terrible sheep. This video was partially made to vent that sort of frustration I have with all these modern technical trends, but not really. The other reason I made this video is to show that this isn't the fate of everything. I'd like to introduce you to one last new music service, Lucida Music. Lucida is the true modern-day successor to Napster. It's not owned by tech bros. In fact, nobody owns it. The whole project's open source and being maintained by queer-termly online people that will absolutely bark if asked. And their mascot of choice? It's the Napster imp, shining bright again once more. Though I wouldn't be surprised if over the past 20 years they ended up changing their name and pronouns. I mean, look at me, I fucking did. While it's easy to look at generative AI weirdly becoming a cancerous plague onto every single IP we hold dear and be filled with dread and despair, it's more important than ever to have these little pockets of air whenever we can find them. Places and communities like Lucidia keep the original spirit of early-day piracy alive even in the 2020s. And with the advent of Fruitiger-era nostalgia becoming commonplace amongst my generation, I have hope against the self-replicating Splopocalypse. Splopocalypse? I made up this word and I can't even fucking pronounce it right. What's wrong with it? And if you have a little bit of hope as well, then this video is a success in my books. Thanks for watching, friend, and I'll see you next time.